Okay, good morning, guys. This is Simon with ToughTrader.com. Let me get it is Friday, June 8th. Let me get the legal notices out of the way and then we can roll on. Past performance is not indicative of future results. This is for educational purposes only. I'm sharing my trade plan with you that in the hopes that it'll make you a better trader. Don't follow me blindly, okay? I'm a pretty aggressive trader, okay? Understand where your risk potentials lie and what you're trying to accomplish. Smaller accounts have different objectives than larger accounts and have less leeway for trial and error, right? You have to have a higher tolerance for waiting for your best setup. And that's kind of my 2 cents about that. So if you'd like to read the rest of the disclaimer, be my guest. There's another part of that disclaimer I want to add, okay? Consistency is really important in day trading. If you can't put down the consistency, right? If you're under 60, 70%, you can't ever increase trade size. That's all there is to it. Know what you're looking for. If you can't increase trade size, you're doomed to forever toil, which is fine with 1 and 2 contracts or whatever your account can afford to trade. But most people are trying to get more trades. I encourage people to get the higher odds trades and stay focused on that. Let's jump in really quick. We're one time into the upside. We're currently trading at 27.67. That lands us here. This is the profile. That lands us right here. Okay, if you look at the notes for members in the room, I said underneath here, right? We've already, if you look to the left, we've taken out this, this, and this. This is what's left to be tested from the 6th. Okay, that comes up down here. The auction's complete at 27.54.50. Globex low came in at 26.55.75. So that whole thing's an anomaly, and we landed right in the middle of it. So the first thing I want to do in planning for today, number one, okay, so for my traders, guys that we go over this over and over again, we are trading below value. That is important because you now have overhead resistance, okay? Does not mean that the auction is, hold on a second, where's that coming from? Okay. That's weird. We'll get rid of that. Okay, there we go. Hold on. Before I forget my entire day here, let me take my accounts out of Sim really quick. There we go. That's out of Sim. Okay, there. We're in business. Okay. So if you look at this is important because you now have overhead resistance. This represents time and value. It is difficult to grind through this. It can be done, but it's difficult. The other thing that should be on your checklist, if we spend more than an hour underneath this area, the likely outcome or the outcome is a close at extreme to the downside. So I'm going to give you an example of that and why I'm concerned, okay? So if we spend an hour underneath this and we push down. Now, the rule is different for downside moves than it is for upside moves on this pattern, okay? And this is straight out of Mind Over Markets. I didn't create this. You just got to take it as truth, okay? When we're above, let's say we opened up here or we open drive higher and consolidate for an hour above this area, that usually results in a drive to a high at an extreme, okay? That's pretty common, okay? But on the downside, because we're in a bull market and we're in a market that is not, it's not a single commodity, right? It's 500 stocks, right? And we have a cash flow that's subject to long only, right? The majority of participants in the markets are long only participants. They're not short, so they're either long liquidating, right? Or they're looking to initiate positions. So what happens when you get this pattern on the downside is it pushes far enough and you tend to get pretty vicious pushes back up. Okay, just like yesterday. So if you're going to take this concept, right, notice we pushed into value yesterday and pushed out of value, which is why when I flashed this chart up yesterday morning, if you joined us yesterday morning, I said your best location, right, for the day, it's the white zone, is always buyers in control above, sellers below. This is the best place to wait for location because you have very high odds of getting a fantastic trade. The best I heard back from members in this room Peter killed it with SPY calls out of this area, and Randy killed it with a long. He took 9 or 10 points out of this zone. Okay. Additionally, what this demonstrates, when you're above value, okay, so we were above value yesterday, it's very hard to get a close on the downside. And in the afternoon, in summer times, buyers usually got it. So what we did is we sucked in. So if you view where the sheep were coming in, these are sheep selling into support because they're emotional people and they just have to do what the herd is doing, sucked in, and then they spent all afternoon just annihilating themselves, tripping over themselves to get either back into the market because they panicked out or covering their shorts, one of the two. And it's a pretty straightforward formula. Okay, so when we're above value, straight, so going back to this picture, so everyone has it. It's a pretty simple rule. You don't have to overcomplicate it, right? Where am I? Where is my... Oh, there we are. Pretty simple rule. Above prior day's value, you're pretty much looking for longs. You want to be short. Be my guest, it's the harder way to make a trade. Pushing into value is the easiest way to get a push out. Holding above value often indicates a trend day up. Okay, the rules are different on the downside in a bull market. So if we erase those lines, all I'm talking about this morning is ES. Okay, you erase those lines. Okay, and you look. We have a base over here to the left. This was the breakout, right? Usually breakouts like to get tested. We're trading 27.69. That's 27.46 for the backside of that double top, right? So 69 from 20 brings up 49. Sorry, my math's off a little bit. Brings up 49. 46 is about, what are we down? 7. So if we tack on another 20 points down, that's about 25 to 30 points, puts us in this neighborhood. This is doable, right? Guess what I want to be? I want to be a buyer down here, right? Unless this hits in the last hour, and even in the last hour, I want to look for the algo to trigger me in, okay? Next, if we hold underneath, so now we're going to spread this out. If we consolidate underneath here, so I want to be concerned, really, if I hold underneath that 27.70. There's a little anomaly right there. It's hard to see, but it's really there, okay? If we over under that 27.70, okay, so we got to get over and under. If we get under and we just hold under, we probably push down. And the most logical place that needs to be tested is what was tested last night. But instead of going for Globex low, what I'd like to see is to have that broken below 27.54 and a quarter. I want to say that again. What I'd like to see is it trade below 27.54 and a quarter. Oh, where's my pen? May not happen this way, but it's what I'm looking for. I like to see it trade underneath, hold underneath, right? Maybe they shoot for that 27.51, get back above, backside test that 55 for the moonshot, back to 73 would be my rough guess, somewhere between the 68 and 75. And then the clue to that would be if we trap back into the low, once we break it, you could easily push right back to that point of control. Why do I think that'll happen? Let me show you. If we can get down there. So Apple's the driver this morning along with the ECB. Also remember that Friday is usually a balanced day. Okay. That's important to know. It's hard to get a drive on Friday because Mondays and Fridays have the narrowest ranges and they tend to be balanced. Now, it doesn't mean we can't have a trend day down or a trend day up. It's just if you took all of them over the last decade, right, and you had to make a guess, and you guessed every time balance, you'd come out a winner about 75% of the time. Okay, that's a pretty good stat, right? So if we go back and look to the left to get an idea of what this might look like. So let's find what last time we were one time into the upside. Okay, so this would be the last time we were one time into the upside. So the first thing I would say, if this is what we were looking at back on 5.4, is I'd go, hey, look, value keeps shifting higher through here. I'd have the same warnings. Shorts aren't working. We keep closing on high, right? And if you keep shorting through this, you're having a really frustrating time. And if you're buying the dips, you're getting paid through all of this, right? So I'd put a line here. And the first thing I'd say, just like today, is I'd go, hey, we're trading underneath 27.28. I would look back and I would say, this area right here, the over-under completes the auction, followed by this naked volume point of control, TPO. I'd say this is vulnerable to getting broken. because it is. And then this is support, which I don't think we ever make it down to, at least in that reasonable time frame, right? Now, watch what happens when we look to the right. Okay, so we can see from this, okay, that what did the market do? It gapped down, clue number one. In the first half hour, inability to trade back into prior day's range, inability to trade back into prior day's value, and inability to trade above the first 5-minute high, because we obviously opened here and established a high right out of the gate. But what did it do? These are 30-minute bars. We traded all the way down. We traded over, right? We traded under, and we traded under. See, this is the next half hour. So I can know from looking at this bar what happened in this half-hour bar. Here, if I spread this out, way big. Okay. See this right here? This is the first half hour. This is the second half hour. It opened underneath, and it closed above. As a matter of fact, it closed right here. So what it did, this is the key area. This is exactly what I'm looking for. We drove down. Everyone got bearish. We opened up in B period and closed just above that 27.12, right? And then what did we do as soon as we were closed? We made a moonshot to 27.16. Now, the idea would have been that we closed back in, but it failed. It couldn't get back above the high, right? But even if you're looking at that pattern, that backside test of 27.12 yielded you a roll back up, because we opened right here. We probably tagged it, and we rolled from 27.12 to 27.20. That's all the trades you need right there. What you're hoping for in this pattern is that you nailed that 27.12 with a long. You moved your stop to net break even. You scaled up 8 points, which should be a killer day for anybody. I don't care who you are, right? That should be a killer day. And what you were hoping for is that it wasn't going to get back past the 50-60. If you draw this up, what you're hoping for is once it got up here, was that we weren't going to close back below this 50-60. If it did, notice it established behind again, and it killed the pattern. But notice that we didn't roll down, because there just isn't enough momentum here. When you take this back, it's important to understand. Oops, let's do it this way. This stopped it right here. This auction was complete, right? They ran past it a bit, but the auction was essentially complete down there. And if you look to the right, we'll eventually come into those areas. Here, I'll show you. It took forever to get it. But there you are. See how we came right into that 27.69? See how we just peekabooed underneath, got back above, pushed, and rallied? That's the opposite of what you're looking for. Let me show you that. See how we pushed in? We didn't get underneath. See how we finally just get underneath there and then push? That is the key to finding those monster rallies right there. That's how you get 26.76 to 27.32. That's how you capture those huge moves with options. So if you're an options trader or you're a swing trader, you want to learn those patterns and commit them. So for today, right, I don't think we melt. But if I'm coming back to the levels, they're already marked off on the charts. I'll share them with you. And I'm obviously looking for the algo to trigger me in. And what we have was, okay, so what I want, let's reduce NQ. NQ is NQ. It's going to do what it's going to do. Apple's going to drive NQ today. That's all there is to it. So the news story in Apple is they asked their suppliers to expect a 20% reduction in component parts is what the news is on Apple and why it's getting crushed. You're trading NQ. Watch for illiquidity today in NQ in the morning. The moves will be wild, right? Have your big boy pants on if you're trading NQ today. No crying over it. It just can be hard. I'm not trading it, so I'm not worried about it. I will just keep an eye on it, okay? So what's been driving ES is the banking stock, so you might want to have the BKX up and see if it's above or below VWAP, and you might want to keep an eye on Apple to look for a reversal. I have no doubt they'll trap people at some point at the bottom and drive it back up. So looking at ES, right, look at the notes. So I put anomaly, chart repaired here. Big note, if we get under this zone and hold 27.57 would become downside target, big roll down, right? Where did Globex low come in? 26.57, I think. 26.55.75, right? Which if you look, that was the anomaly. Now what I want, so notice we came in overnight. Overnight it's hard to generate pressure, so these tend to act as support instead of being able to break them. But what I want today, so we've come in, right? We've got underneath. We broke Thursday's low. We came back up. We're trading at 27.68 on the U contract, which is above Thursday's low. So I want to find out, A, I need to get above here to rally. This is resistance, okay? I need to get below here. So Thursday's low is a visual location. There's no volume there. There's nothing to cue off of. It's just going to be our locals in control or not as to whether we bounce off of that. But what the logical thing would be to do is to come down and test. What I'm looking for is to test Globex low, break underneath, suck all the sheep in, get back over, backside test, and now I'm looking for a push up to 27.70. If we hold 27.70 and get back above, then we can push to close on Friday on a new high. And being that we're in a bull market, that would be a beautiful response. And we have all the negative news. We have Trump in Canada, who hates everybody apparently that's not American, because he's leaving the thing 4 hours early. You're going to have all the noise about Trump leaving and Trump this and Trump that. So expect, right, news reports that say Trump said something, and if it gets whacked down for 10 points, be ready to buy it, right? And then the other thing you have is Apple. And we're just going to see how they treat Apple with the reduction in components by 20%. Apple's been pretty Teflon, so I don't expect it to get annihilated. But let me look at it pre-market so I have some idea of what it's doing. Let's see, what do I want here? There we go. I haven't had a level 2 dome up in forever, but I'm going to do it right now. So Apple is currently trading down $2.54 according to this. I don't know if that's pre-market or not, but it's showing 190.90. I don't even know if I have pre-market quotes on this thing. I haven't traded an individual name day trade wise in a long time. So I don't know if that's where it's trading, but that's where it was at least yesterday. We'll see where it is today. I'll keep the quote up on my board just to take a look at it. Let's see, where am I going to stick this? Over here in the corner. There we go. Okay, so that's my 2 cents. I'm looking for the over-under here. This is a questionable area, by the way, this 27.49, 27.47. It is a stretch, okay? It worked yesterday, that same area. I want to show you why I color those purple. They should get broken, but they may hold the first time, right? See this? Yesterday on this purple zone, where I wrote the same note, support, but hard read in advance as to whether or not it holds. Sometimes, so when the market's strong, these areas hold, but they tend to give. And see how this is porous on both sides, how we're able to trade through. That's why I make this a purple zone versus a white. The whites I generally don't expect to get traded through. I expect those to hold. If they get underneath them, I expect them to hold on the backside for a short. But these purple zones, their support, I'm not sure about them, right? That's all that means. So they're purple. Anyways, that's my 2 cents. From yesterday's close, 27.75, you take away 20 points, pitch into 27.55. You take away 30 points from 27.75, pitch into 27.45, and that puts you right into top of the open window, right? Top of the open window and Dalton's gap. And then there's a gap down here at 27.39, 27.37. I don't expect to get down there. But this Dalton's gap and this 27.39, 37, if we get down here, I'm probably a call buyer on all of this. I'd expect this to get a responsive buy. It's rare for the market just to break down and just go to zero. And I don't think there's any news that's going to drive it hard enough to make it do that. So that's my 2 cents. I'm looking for dips to get long, 10-point rotations into key areas, right? And today's key areas are, so I'm now the anomaly, the break below the anomaly, back up, backside test. I'm looking for a push up. I expect resistance at 27.69 to 27.72. You need to extend that 26.69 to 27.72. If you're taking this area, again, we'll key off of the algo in the room, but you got to allow for the idea that it might tag VWAP. VWAP didn't have don't ask me how that worked out, but on the TPO, the resistance is here, not here. Usually they line up. So you got to allow for that 27.73 to get tested, okay? And then the open gap. But I got to tell you, if we come and tag the open gap, odds are we get this. If we drive up, we get the open gap. If we backside test, that becomes a long area for a push back to Thursday's high, and then a test up to 27.88 to 27.91. The market overall on ES looks like it wants to go and retest the highs. Maybe not in a straight line, but the profile looks pretty good for a long profile. And I'm going to do one other thing before I let everyone go. We're 4 minutes from the open, and I want to show you what the weekly looks like so you have an idea and an understanding of why I'm saying that. If we do a chart, give it a second to build that chart. CL's really slow, by the way, today, guys. The last time I got a buy signal on this thing was at 7 o'clock, a buy or sell signal. It's just been a long, slow grind on this thing. So if you're trading it, be prepared to sit in it. Like if I pull in out a trade, I'm boom or bust on it. It's just not moving very fast. So I'm either going to hit my target or hit my stop. It's just not moving. It's not going to be one of these 2-second trades, and most likely, right? We're already 30 minutes in, and we have an entire 16 tick range, right? So if we look at this on a weekly, okay, there's weekly. We're trading 27.68. See this huge build right here. See this? And see there's a hole in the profile right there from 57, which is where we stopped, okay, up to 63. If you are a weekly, if you are looking for the market to roll down, you have got to get below. Here, I'll tighten it up a little bit. You've got to get below and hold below 27.4950. You don't get below 49.50. That doesn't lie. You can see this is the volume profile. This is the TPO, okay? And that is the point of control for both of those on the weekly has not shifted up, right? So that's 27.51 and a quarter. And usually what happens before we roll over, here I'll show you the last time we had this before we rolled down was, where are we? Let's go back. There we go. Okay, so see if you were up here. So it obviously changes week by week. So before we get to that part, right, I'm going to go, hey, in order to be short, you got to get underneath 27.37, right? But then I'm going to go, see how value finally shifted up there? And the point of control shifted up to 27.62. And then we gapped down underneath this build. See how when we were sitting up here, I would have said, when we came into the week, right, see how we closed at the bottom of that profile? And then I would have said two things. In order to be short, you have to have two things. You have to get underneath here, but to really roll, you're going to have to get underneath that point right there, which was 27.35. So if you look how this week broke out right there, see how we gapped down, failed to get back into value, crossed underneath that 27.40. See how we came back up because buyers were being responsive. See how we came down to the weekly, this weekly little point right here. We did it over, under, and into the hole, right? We backside tested, and then we fell apart, right? And if you'll look over to the left, okay, if you look over to the left, what happened on the weekly is all the points of control got covered, and we were able to long liquidate. See how we came to that little area and to this point of control, and that's why we were able to roll down. If you take that same example on the weekly now and you look at where we are right now, we get too bearish. Okay, we got to get underneath 27.26. It's not a very prominent. That would actually be pretty easy to break, that 27.26. And clearly, we have 3 weeks where the support is 27.15 to 27.50 if you were to do a micro composite of those weeks. So this is all support right now, and you have a naked point of control at 27.10. All of that is within 50 points, so it's all reachable, but none of it's bearish until you get underneath. If we got underneath all that, this actually becomes the clear target to the downside, would be this. Because see how this got covered up over here? It leaves this piece right here, which is a double distribution, probably provides support, and then ultimately 2651 after that, those two areas. But there's a lot of work to be done on the downside, and odds are you find responsive buyers as long as you're underneath that. So that's my 2 cents. I'm looking for dips to get long. That's about as easy as it gets. We're due a trend day down. I'll wait for the signals. If your max stop loss on the day, guys, if your max stop loss, let me rename this. Hold on one second. Okay. If your max stop loss is one that for the day destroys your week, you have the wrong max stop loss daily in your account. Okay. Max stop losses should let you take your shots. Okay. And hold on, let me close 607. Close. Your daily max loss should allow you. I don't trade the first half hour, by the way, guys. Just don't care. Let someone else handle all the noise. There we go. Okay. Immediate response back up. I don't care about trading the first half hour. You can see we're pushing right into the anomaly. This should reject out of the gate. I got to do something here real quick. Chart settings, 24 hours. Okay, let me fix this. And you can see CL, and Key, these guys are so trained to buy it right out of the gate. They're going to get so smoked eventually. You have to be pretty flexible with that. Let's see if we move this over. Potential open drive higher. I got a feeling they're going to smack down on that. What was I saying? My point was that where was I? Oh, your max stop loss. If your max stop loss destroys your week, you have the wrong max stop loss, right? Your max stop loss should let you take your stop, go, I'm done for the day and I'm coming back tomorrow, and be relatively, it's all right to get pissed off. Hell, I get pissed off, but your maximum stop, your stop loss should be like, okay, I protected my account and I can come back tomorrow and make money. It shouldn't be, oh my God, what have I done to myself kind of situation. Okay. So anyways, hold on. I got to turn off one other thing before I start having bells go off. There we go. That's it, guys who joined us in the YouTube room. If you liked it, if you hit the like button, right? And if you'd like to join us, send me an email to tradertough@gmail.com. I'll set you up with a 5-day pass. Trade smart, protect your capital. I'm going to work. Talk to you later, guys. Thank you all for joining.